Well done. You found a way to connect to the internet. Welcome to the QAA Podcast Premium Episode 304, White Dogs of Australia. As always, we are your hosts, Jake Rockatansky,
Liv Akar,
and Julian Field. This week, we've got a fantastic guest. You've heard her on this podcast. You've heard her on Perverts. She's one of the co-hosts of the Bunta Vista podcast. It's Lucy Valentine. Welcome to the pod, Lucy.
Hey, it's nice to be back. It's been a while.
I figured, if we're going to have an Australia episode, we need at least one Australian to not make it feel like we're doing...
It would be offensive otherwise, yeah.
That's true, exactly.
I think it's illegal. It would be illegal, actually.
It's illegal.
Yeah, especially with me here, like the cops would be at my door.
Yeah.
Very quickly. And they are very violent here.
They sure are.
Yeah.
I think you've been really settling into Australia, by the way. I'm worried I've been kind of like wake and frighting you. Like I've been the disgusting little Australian man that's like, drink. You're having the real Australian experience.
Yeah, I had never done that before I came here.
Yeah.
I thought that all the cops in Australia had like 8 legs and like they hung out on the ceilings. Like, you haven't seen any of those, Julian?
Well, I've been caught in a few webs, yeah, but all consensual. Well, I suppose we might as well jump into the episode that I regret taking upon myself and writing and every part of it. And I regret being here today to record it with you guys, so.
Wake in fright.
I was in some kind of fugue state, stranded on the 15th floor of a high-rise in Brisbane, Australia, hiding out from a variety of ills, both personal and political. Military fighter jets had been corralled over the city for several days now to threaten me. The only thing keeping me alive was a steady diet of Dexies, black market cigarettes, beer, and some very fine coffee. That and brekkie. They're really quite good at brekkie. The situation was dire. I was just a few days from having to return to the United States, and the news coming out of that wretched hellhole had grown increasingly alarming, even by American standards. A surreal video of some guy chipping off the word defense from a government building and replacing it with war. Militarized police marching the streets. Masked thugs thrown a badge by some of the most evil people on earth, proudly driving around residential neighborhoods looking for people to blackbag and deport. The hallucinatory self-destruction of the West through their stubborn material support for Israel as they livestream a Holocaust. And then there was the summary execution of a group of supposed drug-dealing gang members from Venezuela, their boat disappearing in a ball of fire, in the footage proudly released by the government. We were swirling down the shitter at speeds unseen.
And in the opposite direction.
Yes, exactly. With 7 days left to go in my little working vacation, I pondered just how lazy I'd become. Sure, I got my QA work done, but I was barely capable of that. A great lassitude had come over me months, maybe even years prior, and it just didn't seem to want to dissipate. I had to accomplish a single thing while I was here. Something to hang my hat on and say, see, I exist. But the only thing I'd invested proper time in was an ill-advised endeavor I hesitate to even call a prank. It was more like a Russian nesting doll of terrible decisions, each one trapping me in the next, each one bringing me physically closer to a man called Drew Pavlou. I knew him due to his Twitter account, with about 175,000 followers, which had become a running joke among me and a couple of friends due to how annoying and morally repugnant it was. But this episode is not about him. It's about Australia, a country like many others in the perceived West that has been absolutely shitting its pants about white people being replaced by non-white people. If anything, Drew Pavlou was an irritating creature of the awful moment. This was larger than whatever psychosexual derangements had pushed him to post the way he did about deportation and non-white immigrants like a dog baying for blood. But before we get to dark abundance, me driving to the University of Queensland to meet Drew Pavlou, and the excellent Australian punk band Coffin, we need to talk about March for Australia, a set of protests held in all the major Australian cities on August 31st of this year, 2025. Although most of the Australian media is owned by the evil billionaire Rupert Murdoch, there are still some outlets trying to do decent reporting. Among them, a funny little paper called Crikey. Now, we've actually spoken to a great reporter from Crikey before, Cam Wilson, but in this case, I'm going to be relying on reporting by another Crikey journalist, Danielle Said. He wrote an article about the amount of politicians who attended these rallies.
A number of Australian politicians joined neo-Nazis, conspiracy theorists, and other anti-immigration protesters on Sunday for the March for Australia. Police estimate around 5,000 protesters, as well as counter-protesters, took to Melbourne streets for an event where well-known neo-Nazi Thomas Sewell spoke. Sewell was described as a, quote, right-wing activist by Sky News in an interview in front of the Flinders Street station, and was wearing a Helly Hansen jacket sporting the brand's HH logo, a choice of attire shared by several of his comrades.
So that, of course, for the unversed is Heil Hitler.
Yeah, it's not Hulk Hogan, to tell you that.
Yeah, and calling him a right-wing activist is very funny. Like,
that is very funny.
Yeah.
His party is straight up,
like
Nazi.
outwardly Nazi.
Yeah, openly.
Meanwhile, around 8,000 people were estimated to have turned out in Sydney. While the exact role of any neo-Nazis or related groups in the planning of the marches is unclear, what is clear is that several of them spoke at the Melbourne rally, while white nationalists were responsible for at least some of the logistical support. A number of notable federal and state politicians attended the marches in their respective cities, including independent MP Bob Katter in Townsville, and One Nation Senators Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts in Canberra. Several other local and state-level politicians and political aspirants also attended, including 2 Libertarian Party representatives, New South Wales State member John Ruddock and Sydney councillor Steve Christou. Lee Hanson, Pauline's daughter, spoke at the march in Hobart.
Now, I realize this is a long list of names that might be unfamiliar for anybody in our audience who is not Australian, so I'd like to focus a bit on a father-son duo, which Saeed writes about in the article.
Katter Sr. and Jr., as well as 2 other Katter Australian Party politicians, were photographed at the Townsville rally with a man believed to be a neo-Nazi. Both Katter men made use of a megaphone adorned with Nordic-style runes associated with the Schutzstaffel, the Nazi paramilitary organization.
Yeah, so those little SS lightning bolts.
They taped it onto the megaphone, or they had a sticker maybe?
Yeah, it was on the megaphone, and so, they're like, well, I don't know, this was the mic that was there.
Right wing,
like, well,
we are right-wing activists.
Yeah, this was what we had, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I searched megaphone on Amazon, and it was the first one that came up. It was Amazon's first choice.
There was a person there with a speakerphone, which we used because we didn't have one ourselves. So that's about the extent of the relationship, Robbie Katter told the ABC.
You just borrowed the SS microphone. This is insane.
Yeah, they rock.
It's like, you didn't see that on the side? Like, most people would take that and be like, oh, I shouldn't. You know what, man? I'm going to find a different microphone, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like looks like you're holding, the main bit of the microphone manually so people can't see the SS.
All I can do is sort of state indifference to it because any perceived association was done through ignorance, and we felt it was important that we were there and had some control over the rally.
So Bob Katter, if you talk to any Australian, is a colorful and complex figure in Australian politics. Some positive aspects include his involvement in promoting labor unions and his focus on community. Negatives include an insane drift into racism and anti-immigration obsessions. Whenever I spoke to Australians about Katter, they brought up this incredible clip about same-sex marriage that was recorded in 2018.
I mean, people are entitled to their sexual proclivities, I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom as far as I'm concerned. But I ain't spending any time on it because in the meantime, every 3 months, a person is torn to pieces by a crocodile in North Queensland.
I love that you could really see him change gears mid-sentence when he was like, I don't fucking care, I guess, but I'm not really going to spend any more time talking about this.
It's beautiful that an Australian almost went an entire sentence without thinking about dangerous wildlife.
Yeah.
You've been listening to a sample of a premium episode of the QAA podcast. For access to the full episode, as well as all past premium episodes and all of our podcast miniseries, go to patreon.com/QAA. Travis, why is that such a good deal?
Well, Jake, you get hundreds of additional episodes of the QAA podcast for just $5 per month. For that very low price, you get access to over 200 premium episodes, plus all of our miniseries. That includes 10 episodes of Man Clan with Julian and Annie, 10 episodes of Perverts with Julian and Liv, 10 episodes of The Spectral Voyager with Jake and Brad, plus 20 episodes of Trickle Down with me, Travis View. It's a bounty of content, and the best deal in podcasting.
Travis, for once, I agree with you. And I also agree that people could subscribe by going to patreon.com/QAA.
Well, that's not an opinion, it's a fact.
You're so right, Jake.
We love and appreciate all of our listeners.
Yes, we do. And Travis is actually crying right now, I think, out of gratitude, maybe?
That's not true. The part about me crying, not me being grateful. I'm very grateful.